Hi there, everyone. My name's Simon Bradbury. I am the Vice President for Allegis Global Solutions in the EMEA region, and I'm joined by two fantastic guests. Kat Hallowell, who is the Executive Director for Service Excellence for AGS in EMEA, and Ian Blake, who has a global role in terms of Head of Technology Strategy. So welcome to both of you.
Thanks, Simon.
Thanks, Simon. Great to be here.
Yeah. So, hi. And so the reason we're putting this together has been a couple of things in particular that we've been working on recently. And one of them was that we had the Contingent Workforce Summit, CWS, held by staffing industry analysts in May of 2023, which was a major event, biggest event of the year, around 500 sort of industry leaders there. And we did a number of things there in relation to workforce transformation. And then we also subsequently had a roundtable for a much smaller group, kind of intimate group, that we got together to talk about some of these areas, about what are organizations doing, some of the bigger picture topics around how do we get work done and what does the future look like and how we can move from where we are today to where we want to be in the future. So that's the kind of topic we're going to talk about. Kat and Ian are going to kind of reflect how some of those conversations went, particularly from the roundtable. Kat, can I hand over to you, first of all, your reflections?
Yeah, sure. And I think, firstly, both CWS and the roundtable were fantastic events. I think it's become really evident over more recent times that there is much more focus and pressure on both HR and procurement teams to start to look at things differently and look at how they really can transform the workforce. And one of the things that's really coming out of the conversations that I have been involved in, especially at the roundtable, is people just don't know where to start. I think it's such a big topic with so many different interdependencies. Understanding, okay, I want to go, but how? What do I do next? Is really on people's minds. And certainly as we were talking about it, it was probably the number one thing that kind of people said, look, I get it. I need to do something. I just don't know how to begin. Ian, what do you think?
Yeah, Kat, I completely agree with you. I think there is a real reality today that everyone's kind of facing, I guess, a similar challenge. Everyone's trying to do things differently, set themselves apart, but they really know how to do that. And we discussed a lot at CWS and also in our roundtable that when it comes to technology, people are really struggling to navigate the current ecosystem. It's probably, in my 20 years of being in this space, it's probably the most complex it's ever been. There's just so much going on there. There's a lot of chaos, a lot of complexity. And whilst technology should be that enabler and that game changer, it very rarely gets to the point where it's delivering on your expectations. So that's a constant challenge that people have, that we've been speaking to. And then sort of following on from that, in the roundtable, we had a really interesting conversation, and it sort of went on a slight tangent, but went really into the user experience piece. And we've talked a lot and ad nauseum really about the candidate experience, which has been really, really focused on. But some of the users that are expected to use tools like your VMSs or your ATSs every single day, there's some frustration that technology has made amazing strides in some areas, but in some of the core applications that we use, it's sort of it hasn't evolved as much as we need to. It hasn't kept pace. So the challenge was really thrown out to really think about the user, so your core user, much more in sort of future development of these tools.
Yeah, so I agree that all of those areas were definitely things we touched on. The big picture items here, there's kind of two things. There's a lot of talk around kind of skills and behaviors replacing kind of matching like CVs to job specs and starting in a different place. But again, Kat, you referred to people not knowing quite where to start. I want to touch on that. And then Ian, kind of this concept of, from a technology perspective, being disappointing. Well, so where do we go with that? So let's cover off those 2 points because they're both absolutely central to what we talked about. Kat, talk around the kind of the skills bit. What are organisations saying about where they are, what they want to do, where do they want to start to begin this journey to kind of drive future productivity?
Yeah, I think a lot of organisations recognise that skills and understanding the work that needs to get done is the way that they want to go. But most organizations, the reality is they don't know what skills they have within their current workforce, and certainly don't know necessarily what skills are going to be required in the future. I think as you're speaking to organizations, one of the biggest challenges that they have is, even if they have a tool or technology currently in place today to be able to capture that information, is the engagement. So, why should workers go in and update this regularly? So what organizations are finding is that almost the information that they have is limited and is a moment in time. And it's only if there's a organization-wide restructure or something like that, it really forces the candidates to go in and update their profile with the additional skills that they've learned that might be outside of their core role today. So I think there is an engagement piece that we really need to look there, and for workers to understand why they should go in and update their skills profile, because the reality is, for most organizations, that's where they have to start. They have to understand what they currently have today. And I think the other big thing that we're seeing is the lack of a common skills taxonomy, even within inside an organization. So you could have two different people doing 80% of their roles are the same, but they've got different job titles and they're in different departments. And so no one actually realizes that the skill set of these individuals are very much aligned. So there's the cross-functional collaboration and the kind of internal move pieces that are just being missed because people don't have that visibility of the skill set.
Yeah, and I think from a technology perspective, the silos of technology are very evident. They've been around for a long time, and it's always been this way. There's very much a disconnect in organizations between where different information about the challenges of the workforce, the data around that is stored. Your VMS data holds all your contingent workers, and your ATS holds your permanent staff and your permanent recruitment data, and you've got HR platforms that hold your internal workers and things like that. So you've got a real sort of disconnect about where the information is and how to sort of really properly bring it together so that you can make the right decisions, and you can match those skills, and you can find out where that talent is. So having the right technology platform can really make that difference, and we know that because this is something that we are absolutely building ourselves. And our product, which is the Acumen Intelligent Workforce Platform, is really that flexible tech ecosystem, and that allows us to build tech stacks for our clients that solve their problems first and foremost. We've addressed the challenges that they have initially, and then we curate the tech stack accordingly, and we then can provide that workforce visibility through a single integration point. And that it allows the information to flow from all those different systems I talked about. And Kat, you were talking about the engagement and trying to get people to sort of work in the applications and share their skills and make sure we have all that information up to date. Once we have that, and through our tool, we have solutions that allow that to happen, we can then start to truly see that workforce visibility in its entirety, and do that sort of skill to task matching to make sure that the work can get done by the right people and at the right time.
Yeah, I totally agree. So I'm going to come back to you once each with a final bit as we begin to wrap things up. The final question, Kat, if I come to you first, and Ian, I'll come to you afterwards. Kat, we talked around. This is an enterprise-wide topic for most organisations. Therefore, it's not something that individual leaders can solve on their own, no matter what they have at their disposal. So we talked about executive buy-in and the sorts of things that might involve and entail. Talk to me a little bit about what conversation was going around the room. Where were people at? What's the feeling around kind of executive buy-in? Just talk around about that topic a little bit more.
Yeah, I think the reality is people are struggling to get the executive buy-in to make the type of changes that they need to make within the organisation, and it's really about elevating the conversation. And I think certainly with the people that I'm speaking to, it's you have to forget about the immediate need that's in front of you and how that's going to be solved, and actually elevate the conversation to the business problem that you're trying to solve. So, I think sometimes it's really difficult for people, within HR or within procurement or a TA function or whatever it might be, to really elevate their function and their conversation to kind of align to, okay, what are the business objectives that we're trying to achieve? And I think in order to get the executive buy-in, that's where you need to start. How is the challenges of the workforce, going to help us how solving those going to help us, meet our business objectives, and what roadblocks can we remove that could be hindering growth. And I think if you're able to tie it back to those wider business objectives, that's really how you start the conversation, and it becomes interesting to a much wider audience.
Yeah, totally. And I know also there's some great case studies out there of work that you've been directly involved in, Kat, in terms of really driving productivity transformation in areas. And that's a great case study to go, well, this is what we could do if we could do it on a broader basis. Ian, I wanted to bring you in on a similar topic, but technology related. Again, one of the things that we did, we found that some senior leaders said to us, I could go further with this, but show me, I need something tangible. It can't just be a conversation in words. I need to be able to take this further and therefore show me what this looks like. And to kind of illustrate that, we've been working on a workforce transformation lounge, a kind of real kind of bring to life type concept so that people can say, oh, okay, I now don't understand the theory. I can see how this is actually going to work in practice. Can you just share a few words about that as we bring things to a close here?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the way that we've been talking about it and bringing it together is trying to underline the fact that workforce transformation and using tools to do that is in many respects it's a data play. So we need a platform approach I was talked about earlier on to sort of to bring these technology stacks together and ensure that the data flows seamlessly between the products. And when we bring this to life for our customers, the focus is on very much about what the problems that they believe they have today, whether that be around workforce visibility or whether it's around candidate engagement, whether it's about assessing the skills that you've got. And once we start to look at the particular solutions that create that, we then have curated, I guess, a combination of technologies that sit alongside their VMS or the ATS or both to make that happen. And then the big differentiator then becomes is that platform concept, where instead of having one and another technology to integrate with the environment, it's more around actually let's bring that all into our platform, which we've created and we have already live. We can then make that integration simpler, and we can enable those technologies faster, and we can deliver value quicker to our clients because we have built that integrated technology platform. And only once you have that, then you can really begin that process that we talked about earlier on of matching the skills to the work and make those truly strategic hiring decisions, and then have that chance of true workforce transformation.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you for that. Well, thanks, guys, both of you for your contributions there, for summarising that. A few closing words from me. First of all, if you're listening to this and interested in any of these topics and wondering what's really going on out there, what are other organisations doing, please get in touch with myself, Simon Bradbury, or Kat Halliwell or Ian Blake directly. We'll all be very, very happy to talk to you about our experiences and what we're doing at AGS in these areas. There is also a book that we published right about a year ago called The Universal Workforce Model, which I wrote, co-authored with Bruce Morton and collaborated with John Boudreau, who's one of the world's leading academics on the subject of workforce. And that really talks about kind of the why and the practicalities at a very high level. It's very easy read. And if you wanted to look up Universal Workforce Model book, you can either download a copy for free or contact us for that. But that's it, guys. Thank you very, very much indeed. Really appreciate your inputs and summaries there. Pulled together many hours of conversation into a few short minutes, and look forward to speaking to everyone soon. Thank you for watching.